Hi, and welcome. I'm Joel Gershman, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you 3 strategies for how to get your tech business to $1 million and beyond in revenue, and in a way that makes you feel less stressed, less overwhelmed, and more fulfilled. I'm also going to give you access to our Mindful Entrepreneur Growth Workbook. It's effectively the toolkit from our #1 international bestseller, The Mindful Entrepreneur. This book chronicles the true story of how my colleague and I helped tech entrepreneur Howard Finger to apply the 3 strategies I'm about to share with you to save, grow, and ultimately sell his SaaS business for $100 million. You're going to get access to that toolkit. Now, what exactly are those 3 strategies? So let's see if we can map this out together to make it really clear for you. And we're going to draw this. So let me start out with a bit of a triangle for us here. So what we're going to do is explore these 3 strategies and the problems that these strategies solve for many entrepreneurs, especially in the tech space. So the first problem that many businesses are experiencing is they're finding that it is hard to grow their revenue. In other words, they'd like to hit $1 million and beyond, but they're not exactly sure how. And so the first key strategy that we need to look at is this question of how do I create what I'm going to call rapid growth? First key strategy is around rapid growth. Now, that's great. That's one key problem, but of course, it's not the only problem that many business owners are facing. The second issue is that you may be finding that your business is largely dependent on you and therefore saps a lot of your time and energy. And if you're like many business owners, you just wish it could run smoothly and efficiently with or without you so that you've got more freedom to choose how to spend your time. And so the second key problem here is what I'm going to call no time, and that the business is dependent on me. And so to address that particular challenge, here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need a strategy which is all about helping you break free from your business. What does it mean to break free? We're going to explore that in more detail, but it's effectively about setting up your business to be able to run without you. So you've got more time, more freedom. And that's the second key challenge and the second key strategy. But there's another one. Some of us don't like to talk about this, but the reality is that many business owners are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled. And this is the third key challenge. What do we do about that? And while it might not seem like a business issue at first glance, the fact is that your ability to run a successful business depends to a large extent on your ability to remain sane, focused, and fulfilled. If you're out of balance, it's really hard to be productive and run an effective business. And so that third key strategy is very much about building a system or building an approach for you to be focused and fulfilled while you're running and growing your business. I find that business owners experience these issues often because they're making 3 critical mistakes that hold them back. And so what I'd like to do with you is really explore those mistakes and replace them with 3 effective strategies: the rapid growth strategy, the break free strategy, and the focus and fulfillment strategy. These strategies, when taken together, when applied together, form what we call the growth system. What I'd like to do with you is explore that growth system. Let's have a look at how we can apply that together. So let me start by saying that to help us appreciate the 3 mistakes and the 3 strategies we just explored, it's actually important to understand a core idea first. While there are many specific reasons that tech or SaaS businesses don't thrive, at its core, it's often that we haven't yet developed the right mindset and the right skill set. You see, most new businesses are formed by technicians. That is, people who are genuinely skilled in a certain technical field, but decide that they'd rather work for themselves than someone else. So they set up a business, right? Take Howard Finger, for example, right? He's the protagonist in the book that I just mentioned, The Mindful Entrepreneur. Howard went from a struggling SaaS business and a near personal breakdown to a really successful business and a much deeper sense of personal well-being. He recently sold his business, as I mentioned, for over $100 million, but he struggled for a long time. That is, until he learned a new mindset and a new skill set. Now, what is that mindset and skill set? Well, to use the terminology that my own mentor, Michael Gerber, uses in his classic book, The E-Myth Revisited, you can't just be a great technician. You need to be a great manager and a great entrepreneur too. In other words, sometimes you'll need to be a technician, right? Doing the operational work of a business, right? The work that actually delivers value to customers. At other times though, you'll need to be a manager, overseeing, planning, organizing, and supervising others to ensure they get the work done effectively. But perhaps most critically, you need to think and act like an entrepreneur, doing the strategic work of building the business itself, clarifying your vision, innovating new ways of doing things, identifying new markets and opportunities. And the problem is that most business owners are so focused on the day-to-day technical work that they don't or can't focus on how to better manage or build the business. Because that's the technician mindset at work. Technicians spend their time working in the business, hoping that eventually things will change and they won't have to work so hard for so little in return. But the reality is that things won't change, not until you change the way you run the way your business runs. And that requires a new way of thinking and acting. And that is really the capacity to work on your business, not just in your business. Right? You may have heard that phrase before. Working on your business requires you to really step outside of your day-to-day technical work. It means, looking at your business objectively as if it was something independent of you. Imagine you're almost like 5,000 feet above the business, looking down on it critically. That's what entrepreneurs do, because it's only from that perspective that you can truly begin designing a business to grow and to operate smoothly and efficiently and profitably. How exactly should you begin working on your business though? Well, let's start by exploring those 3 key challenges and the strategies that respond to them. Those 3 strategies are really what working on your business is all about. And let's start with the first problem, which we said was lack of revenue growth. Now, how do you create a consistent stream of highly qualified leads that translate into profitable long-term customers? How do we create that rapid growth we were talking about? Well, here's the mistake people make. They think that growth is about diving in and implementing a range of practical sales and marketing strategies, like email campaigns and Google ads and SEO and social media campaigns and so on. Well, I've got news for you. If that's all you do, don't be surprised if you see limited results. Obviously, you ultimately need to dive in and implement practical strategies, right? But before you do that, you need to be crystal clear on your overall business strategy first. You see, many business owners begin implementation without really thinking about their underlying business strategy. Who their target market is, what their unique driving needs are, how they're going to meet those needs better than the competition. Those are foundational strategic questions. And though it's much easier to ignore this strategic step, it's also a recipe for limited results. Take the classic case of Michael Dell, founder of Dell Computers. As a teenager, he famously became the most successful paper delivery boy in Chicago's history. How? Well, his strategy was simple but powerful. Rather than take a random door-to-door approach, which, knocking on each door, which had about a 10% success rate at best, he looked up all the newlywed couples in the births, deaths, and marriages register. And then he only visited their houses. His success rate was astronomical because many of them had just moved into a new home. And that's exactly the kind of person who in those days was in the market for a newspaper subscription. Now, how did he do it? Answer, he didn't start with a practical strategy like knocking on doors. He started with deliberate, well-considered business strategy. He identified who his target market was, and only then did he begin into implementation. Can you see the difference? Now, if you want to achieve real growth in your business, you'll also need to start by defining your overall business strategy. And in particular, you're going to need to ask yourself 5 critical questions. And what I'd like to do is see if we can, again, depict this for you so that it's crystal clear. I'm going to draw another triangle for us. And we're actually going to break this triangle up into a few core components. Let's start. So in order to craft your business strategy, there are 5 key components to it. And the first component is what we're going to call purpose. Now, this is all about asking yourself and considering what impact do you want your business to have on your customers and stakeholders? What is that underlying purpose of the business? You see, when you align your team around an inspiring business purpose, one that actually makes a difference, what it does is it turns your work into a mission and provides the motivation for, the long and arduous trek that is your growth journey. But it also does something else. When you are laser focused on a purpose that genuinely helps the world and genuinely helps your customers in some way, it means your business is focused on achieving specific results for a specific group of people. And when you are laser focused on achieving specific results, you know what happens? You actually achieve a really successful business as well. Right? A business that's not achieving great results for a specific group of people is not going to be successful. And so your purpose is that first critical business step. But that's important, but there's another critical step as well. And that is to define your values. Now, these are the attitudes and behaviors that are critical to achieving your purpose. Think of it a bit like a compass that guides a traveler along their path. Business values guide your actions and decisions day to day and lay the foundation for a really high performance culture. That's the second key component. The third is to clarify your vision. Now, this is asking you to think about what the future will look like if you're successfully fulfilling your purpose in line with your values, right? When you're laser focused on a specific vision, including identifying the most lucrative customers and products to focus on, it's much easier to create a plan for getting there. And this is exactly what Michael Dell did when he identified the customer groups that he wanted to focus on. But it's not enough to have a great vision. You also need what's called differentiation. This is asking you the question, how will you differentiate your business and stand out from the crowd? Right? To achieve your vision, you need to give customers a reason to choose you over the competition. And if you haven't defined this in a really clear way, this is a critical step in your business strategy. And then finally, once you've got that clear, it's important to define what we call your strategic objectives. These are the goals or objectives that you set to track your business performance as you move along your growth journey. Without benchmarks for success, you're never going to know if you're on the right track until it's ultimately too late. And now, if you can answer those 5 questions thoughtfully and honestly, what you're going to have is what I call a rock solid strategic foundation. Now, that's important. And it's important because when you have that foundation, your specific sales and marketing strategies will be infinitely more effective. For example, in light of your strategy, you can then begin to do a few fundamental things when it comes to sales and marketing. Let's have a look at them in turn. And we're going to see if we can build out this triangle in a bit more detail. Let's use blue. So in line of that strategy, what you can begin to do is explore the 3 primary, what I call drivers of growth drivers. These are effectively your ability to generate leads, convert leads into sales, and create ongoing value from existing customers. And once you define that, once you explore those growth drivers in your business, you can then assess how you're going in each of those areas and identify the gaps. When you identify gaps, you can start plugging those gaps, and as a result, improving your ability to grow. Actually, the best businesses don't look at these drivers as independent factors. They need to be seen as part of an integrated growth journey that customers go through. You start by making them aware of your business to generate leads. You then convert those leads into sales. And then for those existing customers, you want to build value over time. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, let's explore it. So, for example, the first stage of the journey is what we'll call lead generation. That means selecting the right advertising channels to reach your target market and to build awareness of your brand, and then crafting the right content and messaging to create desire in the hearts and minds of your target market in order to get them to transfer from prospects to genuine leads. Lots of strategies to do that. One example being lead magnets. Lead magnets are really powerful tools where you provide something of value in exchange for people's contact details in order to be able to establish trust, build the relationship, and then follow up with them down the track. That's the first key component of the customer journey. The next stage is what we call lead conversion. Lead conversion is all about taking that lead and then converting them into a sale. And to do this, you need to implement trust building strategies that give leads the confidence to buy. And this is where strategies like demos and free trials come in to build trust in those prospects, help them see what you have to offer, and enable them to take that next step. And then once you've converted a prospect or a lead into an actual customer, the next step is what we call customer value. And this is very much about focusing on generating additional value from your existing customer relationships. And you do that through strategies around retention to help them to make sure they're coming back, strategies around upselling and cross-selling, and also referral strategies to get them telling other people about you and becoming your loyal advocate. And then finally, once you've done that, once you've worked on that customer journey, you obviously need to begin putting that into action And that's where step-by-step action plans come in and help you bring that growth strategy to life. Now, we're going to call this here your customer journey. All right. And these two components here, these two parts of the triangle, which form a bit of a diamond, that's all about generating rapid growth. Now, that's great, but that doesn't answer the second key problem. What if your business is dependent on you and saps a lot of your time and stresses you out? How do you set your business up to run smoothly without you, so you have the time and freedom to choose how you spend your time? So you've got time to think about growth and the time for other parts of your life, like your family, your health, and so on. This is where people make another mistake. They focus incessantly on growth without creating the infrastructure to support that growth. And that's why you need a different approach. You actually need to break free of your business in order to truly grow it. This is where we said this is the break free strategy. Now it doesn't necessarily mean getting out of your business. Breaking free means that your business can run without you. So you've got the space and freedom to focus on your business strategy and other parts of your life. Now, that freedom will not just occur on its own. Right? It doesn't just happen. You need to create it. And the way to do that is to intentionally design your business to run smoothly and profitably with or without you. That kind of business, the kind that just works almost by itself, is what's called a turnkey operation. How do you create a turnkey operation? Well, thankfully, there's a really clear, proven step-by-step management strategy for empowering your people to deliver the results you desire, even when you're not there. Right? And there are actually 5 key steps or components to that strategy. Let's see if we can explore them together. So why don't we create a few extra spaces here for us, and we'll see if we can change gears in terms of colors. So the first step in creating a business, that sort of turnkey business that can effectively run without you, is creating what's called structural clarity. What is structural clarity? Structural clarity is really about killing role confusion. So everyone is absolutely clear on what jobs need to get done and who's responsible for each job. That is the absolute first step in the process of creating a business that works smoothly and efficiently. If you haven't defined the jobs that need to get done in order to achieve your goals and who is doing those jobs, then it's impossible to create a structure that operates consistently and smoothly. And that's the first step. Then there's the next step, which is called job clarity. And job clarity is about clarifying the tasks and expectations of each job in that structure, right? So that your staff know exactly what's expected of them and can perform to their potential, right? When you've set some clear goals and KPIs and targets for each job in that structure, people are much clearer about what they need to do. And that's the second key step, but it's not enough. We also need what's called task clarity. And task clarity is all about ensuring that everyone knows how to perform key tasks within each job in that structure. And for that, you need to create production, delivery, and admin systems that work seamlessly every time, no matter who's operating them. What is a system? A system is a step-by-step process for performing a task to achieve specific results. You see, when you define your tasks in that way, when you systemize those tasks, what that does is it enables those tasks to run smoothly and efficiently because people know exactly how to do them in the optimal way, but it also helps you delegate those tasks to others with confidence, right? Which then in turn frees you up and frees up your time to focus on other things. Now, of course, it's not enough to just create these systems in order to build task clarity. You also need what's called performance clarity. What is performance clarity? Well, this is about ensuring that you have a way of working out whether or not your systems are achieving the intended results. It's one thing to have these nice systems in place, but you've got no way of tracking whether or not these systems are actually working for you. You're not going to achieve the results you want to achieve. And so you need to do that. You need to set up a management and reporting system to create accountability around those systems and ensure your finger is always on the pulse, even when you're not there. Now, of course, once you've done that, there is actually one more step. And that is you're also going to need to enroll your staff. What that means is they need to become part of this process. At the end of the day, they're the ones implementing it. So we need to bring them along for the journey so that they know how to implement these systems and they're motivated to do it for you and with you. Now, does this all sound daunting? Well, it's actually quite straightforward once you get the hang of it. And my experience is that when you do, you're not only going to have more time and freedom, but you'll actually have laid the foundations for future growth. Okay, and so this is what we're going to call our turnkey operation. All right, this is great, but there's one more component. Growth and freedom are wonderful, but here's the thing. Many business owners report feeling stressed, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled and out of balance in their businesses, even when they're achieving good results. And because your ability to run a successful business depends to a large degree on your ability to remain balanced, focused, and motivated, this is critical. I often say that the state of your business and your state of mind are much more closely intertwined than you might think. Now, you don't need me to tell you that the demands of running your own business are intense, right? Unlike employees who can often just clock in, do their job, and then clock out, the job of a business owner never truly ends. You can carry your business with you always, right? If you're not negotiating prices or influencing customers or managing staff or chasing cash flow or doing one of the other myriad tasks necessary to keep the business operating, if you're not doing them, then you're thinking about them. And that takes up mental and emotional bandwidth. Thankfully, our brains and our internal systems are wired to cope with a certain amount of stress, but there's a limit. Unless you have a way to manage the stresses, the challenges, and the disappointments that life and business will throw at you, you actually stop being an effective entrepreneur. And it also impacts your life, your well-being, and your sense of fulfillment in general. So what can we do? Maybe most business owners are just doomed to live stressful, unfulfilling lives. Well, thankfully, there are practices that can empower you to stay sane, focused, and fulfilled while building a successful business. And at their core, these practices are really about living more mindfully. That is to say, becoming more aware, more conscious of how you react to events, and then choosing deliberately and intentionally how you will respond. There are 5 key practices that comprise what we call the mindful living system. Let's explore them. So if we come back to our diagram here, let's set up our 5 little areas. And the first key one that we're going to explore is what's called inspiration. Inspiration, what is this about? Really, your first step is to identify what's really important to you in life. In other words, your core values. You see, crystallizing those values into what we call a core purpose statement serves as a really powerful motivator. It inspires you about what's important to you in life. And it also enables you to be really deliberate about how you should act and how you should respond when things are thrown at you in life, especially difficulties and challenges. If you've got front and mind, front and center, what's important to you, you can always use that as a reference point in terms of the way you act in your decision making. That's really the first step. But there's a wide chasm between coming up with an inspiring purpose statement and then living that purpose day to day. And that's why your second step is to apply your high-level purpose across the various domains of your life, from your home right through to your work. It's all too easy to give too much focus to one area of your life, for example, your work, but at the expense of other domains. And so it's essential to identify really clear goals for each domain and practical action plans to bring those goals to life. So this second stage here, we're going to call application. We're applying our purpose to the different domains of our life. And that's wonderful. But what happens when you're faced with challenges and setbacks that threaten to knock you and your well-laid plans off course? You've got these wonderful values, they're all inspiring. You've got these goals and action plans to achieve the values in the different parts of your life, but you're hit with a challenge. It could be in your business, it could be in your personal life. Well, actually, you need the ability to stay balanced and resilient, even when the going gets tough. And that's where your ability to interpret challenges deliberately rather than reactively is crucial. Your capacity to reframe challenges as opportunities to grow and learn is essential. And that's what this interpretation phase is all about. That's the third step, but it's not enough. Because what if what's holding you back from achieving your purpose and your goals is not some external setback or challenge that's occurred? What if it's something internal? What if it's you? What if you've made a mistake? And what if you're not entirely sure what you should learn from it or what you should do differently in the future? This is where you'll need to build skills for reflecting on and learning from unsuccessful experiences, even when the lessons are not obvious, so that you can continue to grow both personally and in your business. And that is what we call the reflection phase. That's the fourth component. And then finally, the question is, how do you ensure these practices become integrated into your daily life? Right? It's one thing to learn about these ideas or try them out once or twice, but it's another thing entirely to make them a habit, to make them part of your life, such that they have a lasting impact on your business and your life. That's why you'll need to integrate these practices into a step-by-step mindful living system that you apply regularly, not unlike a fitness regime, with a way to hold you accountable for staying on track. And that step is what we call integration. And these 5 components taken together form what we call your mindful living system. And there we have it. If you can learn and implement these 5 practices, you're going to increase your sense of balance, focus, and fulfillment, even in the face of the inevitable challenges of life as an entrepreneur. And now we can see here, we have effectively our growth system, right, which has those 4 key components. Right? It's got our strategic foundation, which is about setting our business strategy. It's got our customer journey, which is about bringing in leads, converting those leads to sales, and ultimately growing the value of existing customer relationships in order to ultimately generate what we call rapid growth. We've also got your turnkey operation, which is all about helping you break free of your business and increase your time. And then finally, we've got that component that people sometimes ignore, which is your mindful living system. And that's all about creating that sense of focus and fulfillment in your life. Now, there you have the growth system. But the question now is, what next? Well, if you'd like to know how to apply these practices to your business and your life, then here's my suggestion. Reply with the word book. And I'm going to send you a digital copy of our Mindful Entrepreneur resource workbook. It's going to take you through many of the exact strategies that Howard used to save and grow his tech business while staying sane, focused, and fulfilled. And if you're looking at this on a landing page, then just click below to get access to your workbook. I wish you all the best on your growth journey, and I look forward to being in touch.